On today's episode of the K-Swap 240 presented by Turn 14 Distribution,
we've got some sweet new baffles to go into the oil pan, but before that, we're gonna do some arts and crafts to add capacity to that oil pan. As you guys know, if you've ever rip tech with a K at the racetrack, oil starvation is a real issue to be concerned about. So to address that, especially in a rear drive configuration like this, we have ordered this Circuit Hero oil pan baffle. This is a drop-in design, right? It literally just sits in the bottom of the pan and has nowhere to go because it's contoured perfectly to that environment. Pretty clever design, and it's also the sparkliest aluminum I've ever seen.
yes, very, very shiny.
It's like a bass boat surfacing on there. I'm not sure what that's about, but
It's just been like sanded in a certain way, I think.
yeah, it's got a cool look to it. We've also opted for this Track Tough oil chain baffle. So this kind of goes at the front of the motor to prevent oil in braking when the motor's turned the way it is for rear wheel drive. The oil wants to go to the front of the pan and then up the timing chain, and that can cause rapid oil pressure drop and starve bearings. So the plan is literally using a cardboard box. We're gonna fill the spaces that are available with cardboard so that when we take everything off and go over to see Vin at NV Auto, he'll know how much space he has to work with. He won't necessarily have to use all of the volume. We just want to basically give him a roadmap of here's how much space you got to work with. Now let's use that space to add capacity. And we'll do some math with Vin to figure out how much capacity to add. So for now, we're just gonna fill up that space with cardboard.
Here's our little mock-up, and basically all I did was mark it on the oil pan and just figure out an area here where we could have contact. So this will give Vin an idea of where the subframe is an issue.
Can I ask you an important question, Peter?
Of course.
Have you been drinking Red Bull? Because you just gave that oil pan wings!
Oh, damn, look at that.
It looks good.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be amazing if this was all we had to do.
Yeah,
but
we're done.
In theory, there's gonna be a lot more work, but you kind of get a visualization of what we're gonna bring to Vin and say, okay, Vin, this is the area that you need to work with. So build us wings, whether they're small ones, whether we have to go further out, but we're gonna do all that math. So now I'm gonna have the fun task of removing this entire setup out. And here we are at NV Auto. The motor is out, of course. And Vin, here's our template.
Yeah, it gives us a good, at least something to work with. Space-wise, to know we can't go past this, past there. Should be pretty simple.
Okay, good, good. And we already talked a little bit about I guess this would be the passenger side of adding the extra capacity here. And really, we said, well, is there a need to do this side?
I mean,
because this is a lot of extra work, right?
You're not really getting too much capacity because the biggest problem here is being so narrow here, being so close to the oil pan. To get a stud in and to get a nut in and to get a wrench in, it's not really worth adding the 200, 300 milliliters of oil capacity when you have all the room on this side.
Right. And that's a thing that we didn't consider is you're gonna have to get bolts into here, so you can't just build this up right to the top, right? So that makes a lot of sense. So instead, we've decided to focus our efforts on one side.
So quick measurements about all this. We could add, it's close to about 1 liter and 1.5 liters of capacity.
Oh, that's plenty,
which is more than what we cut out. And so ideally what we'll do is make the frame of the outside of the box to here, and we'll take the oil pan off, put the baffle on, see what we have to do about trap doors.
Yeah.
See if we could even just use this and add a trap door to this. I don't know, we'll see what happens after that, but.
Cool, all right, well, I guess it's time to do some fabrication work.
We've just had an exhausting meeting of the minds trying to figure out this baffled setup here, and as you can see, we've put in the Circuit Hero main baffle, which is designed for a front wheel drive application where in corners oil flow would want to go in this direction. So the baffles are designed to prevent that oil flow and therefore not starve the pickup. But in a rear wheel drive application like ours, cornering forces are going this way and we don't have any baffles on the side. So what we need to do basically is take these and rotate them this way. We'll build our own. And because we're adding capacity over here, we're thinking we're going to put a trapdoor in here that allows flow back to the pickup from this reservoir, but will prevent it from flowing away from it and when oil's trying to go in that direction. We've also got this Track Tough oil chain baffle, which has trapdoors on it as well, which as you can see is designed to bolt to like the front of the oil pump here. We're gonna have to trim the Circuit Hero one a bit to fit it up, but this is designed specifically for rear wheel drive applications like ours, where in braking, guys were finding that the oil is flowing up the front cover into the chain area and starving the pickup. So there's been guys who actually data logged their oil pressure in S2000s with K motors in it, and we're seeing their oil pressure drop to 0 under hard braking. And this is designed to prevent that from happening. So this will go a long way to keeping this motor alive in our rear wheel drive S14. And this guy will modify as a more traditional baffle setup to keep oil in that left to right corner scenario. And I think at that point we'll be good to go. By the way, we should mention that this Circuit Hero oil pan baffle is designed for K-series motors, obviously, which this is. But what we like about it is the fact that it requires no modification to your factory oil pan. So if you're running a K-powered Civic or RSX, or let's say even a K-powered Honda S2000, this fits in and just bolts to factory bolt hole locations and requires no modification to your oil pan.
Okay. So long to this baffle. Uh-oh. There we go. Broke it off. All right. You think we can reuse this fin? Just put it sideways, you know?
Is there any point in reusing it or just make a new one?
But why?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's make a new one.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I'm the reusing
You're
type.
a recycler, aren't you?
Yeah, you know. Now for the next step, we got to figure out where to chop this thing. We've actually made a small little mark we're thinking around this area, because when you put the pan on, you can see it does not clear this rear section. So let's get to cutting. We've got the air saw. Safety first, as always. Let's do this. There we go. We now have this in 2 pieces. I knew we would reuse parts of the baffle. Look at this. This is the back side of the baffle that we've now modified, and we're gonna build and put in right here so that it creates that baffle that we need for our side-to-side motion. And really, all it is just another aluminum L-shaped bracket. We got 2 of those here, and we're gonna rivet it on just like the original and put that on there. And here is baffle number 2. It is almost complete. As you can see, this one needed a little bit more work. We decided to put some trap doors in because this is the side that's gonna have the extra capacity. And Vin did some milling for us, cut us some nice holes. These trap doors are actually from Improved Racing. We got them on Amazon, go figure. Link in the description for these guys. And the one thing I did was I bent the corners. I don't know if you can see that, but I took a little tip off of the Track Tough trap doors, and they've got little bends in them on the corners. And I think what that does is it ensures that the oil doesn't stick and close the door. Because if it was done, it was completely flat, it might stick and then not open at all.
Look at how pro that looks, PT.
Man, we have all the baffles, all the trap doors, everywhere. I mean,
if this motor has oil starvation, it's not going to be because of that.
Yeah, maybe we've over-engineered it. That's going to be the problem, but I think we should be good to go. And there may be 10 different ways to do this.
Of course.
There is, for sure, and that's what we kind of want to say as a caveat. We are doing this because we want to make sure that this motor is going to last on a racetrack. If you're building this for the street, you may as well could just get away with cutting the oil pan and leaving it not baffled and putting it in that way, and it may work.
Of course.
We don't know, but this to me, to us, to Vin, is the right way to do it. So that's what we're sticking with. So we have one final thing to do, and that is to add the capacity to the oil pan.
So now we got most of our box put together using the cardboard template. We're gonna get this fitted to here. So what we did was we measured pretty much exactly where this would fit and cut it out. The little things like
I know,
getting
my
this to
goodness,
contour
you got
here
that like, perfect fit.
makes it really nice. Just takes some extra time, but if you ever have gaps or whatever, just take a marker, run it through wherever the lines are. It's an easy way of contouring it yourself and just shaping it. So yeah, we just tacked all these plates together, kind of keep it simple, just in case we need to either redo it. And there's also less warpage. If I were to weld this all up, it might do some weird stuff. So.
I think we now have the most unique looking oil pan in the world. K-Series guys, you don't have this, but you don't need it, so don't worry.
It looks good though.
It looks super cool actually. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing what a clean job Vin did with that. It is ready to go. And I'm sure that adds in more than enough capacity for what we need, especially when you put an oil cooler on there.
I think we did the math and it's like 1.3 liters.
Oh, that's plenty.
Yeah.
You got more than enough liters down here.
Exactly.
And more importantly for you internet trolls like me, we're putting a bung on here, which can mean only one thing.
Wait, for what?
It's time for PT to go turbo. It's time to get serious about this build, Peter.
Come on.
Step it
We're
up.
gonna go NA first.
Well, in the meantime, we will cap it off. This is a K-Tune bung kit that actually comes with a cap, so you can cap it off until you're ready to be a real man and put a turbo on this thing.
Well, it looks like we've got a complete baffle setup, and now for the moment of truth. Our oil pan goes on. Oh man, Vin, you killed it with this thing. Not only does it look good, but it also fits perfectly. So, I think that is a wrap on this episode. I hope you really enjoyed our in-depth look at how to properly baffle and add oil capacity to a swap such as this. So if you liked the video, give us a thumbs up, make sure to subscribe. And if you're feeling generous, why don't you hit up our Patreon page, throw us a couple bucks. And thank you once again for watching. We will be back very soon.